Exactly.
Not that we're trying to get you to turn off the screen, but nothing changes with this match. Dark Zero will likely show very little because they don't have to. Same with Evil Geniuses. They didn't even ban an operator, for crying out loud.
Hey, we're back to back.
We haven't done it until today, but there we go.
Rise Nation, no banned operator. Dark Zero, will they ban ops? They will. They will ban a Nomad.
They're going full steam ahead.
That's interesting.
I was kind of feeling that we were going to see a full just no bad, but we got no ban, but we got Nomad instead. And the Pulse. There you go. All right. So Dark Zero's obviously still going to try to get things going here. The other thing to keep in mind for Dark Zero is that while for a team like EG who don't need to show anything, Dark Zero still have not, in my opinion, established themselves the same way that EG has, and Rise Nation will once again ban nobody. So for the very first time ever, we had a Pro League team and a Pro League broadcast ban no operator, and so far today, through 2 games, the most banned operator has been the no operator.
Yes. Completely different bans from last game.
I'd actually like to see how that charts over the course of a season. Like, what is the ban rate of the no operator?
Well, now?
It's probably like 2% when you look at all the games that have been played, but it'd still be a fun statistic, especially if we see it happen for the SSG Rec match. But anyway, whether we're going to see something a bit more normal than the 5 ACOGs that EG brought on defense, well, as you look, there's only 2 of them on here. It's a pretty normal lineup for both sides. Going to go to Aviator Games upstairs to start things off, which is also pretty normal.
Not a big shock. And for Dark Zero here, again, it's the same kind of questioning that we had for Evil Geniuses. You know, how hard are they going to go? How deep into the strat pool they're going to dig? You've got Rise Nation, who now also have to worry about revealing too much of themselves in preparation for that relegation game against the 7 seed, because whoever does, or sorry, against the 2 seed, whoever does come out of Challenger League, ultimately losing that game, will have time to prepare. Will most likely be preparing for that 1-seeded game. If the format does take place the same as it did last season, then all the games will be played in one night. So you won't have too much time to go back and dig up some VODs and work on a game plan, but you could prepare for the eventuality that maybe you lose that first game against the Challenger League team, the finals of the CL playoffs, and then eventually have to play Rise. Looks like Hyper's going to go for a vault out here onto that study balcony, window balcony, sorry. There's 2 study balconies. Went for a jump out there towards BC, Brandon Carr, but couldn't land a shot, as Hyper will now evacuate back into the objective. You got Nyx and BC both pushing up towards the study balcony for Dark Zero. Looks like the clear isn't going to involve a lot of master side take, and that's a little abnormal considering you have 3 members of the defensive Rise stacked on the master side.
Crazy will get droned out, expend about an entire magazine just to be able to kill the drone, and then go right back to his previous position of holding the angle, which means that he will be daring a confrontation with Nyx. If Nyx chooses to take it, which he won't for the time being. He'll pull out his drone and then go back to gather some more intel. Always strange to see an Ash on drone for as long as Nyx has been in the round. He's essentially droning himself in. He's going to be joined by one of the members of Dark Zero, not too far off of that study doorway, and Nyx is not going to make it too far in because Crazy, despite being droned twice, will still get the better of Nyx.
Now you got Acid right behind this pillar, behind 90 window, constantly being droned out by Jarvis, who's going to contend from on top of this shed roof. I guess the easiest way I can convey this spot. He's going to fall off the roof after he utilizes a lifeline to blow open the wooden barricade. Now the ADS's, one of the ADS charges will be burnt out, but now BC will be downed as well. He'll be cleaned up by Hyper on the Evil Eye. Now a frag grenade being sent in, it'll land, but it won't do any damage to Acid as he's still in depths behind the pillar. Now he'll be forced out of his position to fight against Jarvis. He'll lose that one out. A nice cleanup there, but another one for Dark Zero will fall. Hot and Cold eliminated by Crazy, still at the top of these stairs. So it's down to Jarvis and Mint now to work out of a 2v4.
You're going to see Mint go down as well as England downstairs on the roam, completely undetected. He'll head towards the main stairs with Jarvis on rappel. Very vulnerable if England goes for the run out, but there's very minimal ways that Jarvis can get in that don't wind up with him being almost swiftly dealt with. And he rappelled through the window he was looking at. Well, there would be his shotgun there waiting for him. A second kill for Jarvis, though he doesn't do anything in this particular moment. It was done much sooner with the Claymore set down, and England goes for the run out, obviously, anticipating that Jarvis might be in that position. Essentially, you hear the rappel on in, and well, there's only one thing to do. Peek them while they repel. That's Hyper very easily taking out Jarvis, focusing on in as best as he can, channeling his energy. And there's no successful entry for Dark Zero into the building. Rise Nation will start off 1-0.
It's defense. It's Villa. Not a lot of hardline strats being brought out. Not a big shock. For Rise Nation, they didn't ban anything, so you can't really read into that about what they did want to play against and didn't want to play against. Seemingly they don't particularly mind what they play against this evening. Dark Zero, on the other hand, banning out a Nomad and a Pulse. And I find that interesting that they would ban the Nomad on Villa, especially when starting on the attack. I want to give yourself the best possible advantage, especially when you see that Rise aren't going to be banning anyone. So take full advantage, leave it in, and start on the defensive side. Pick them apart, but hey. This game, again, like you said, ultimately doesn't matter for either team. It doesn't change the standings for either of them. Dark Zero, no matter what, if they lose, they're still going to finish in second. If they win, they're still going to finish in second. Rise Nation, they win, they're in 7th. They lose, they're in 7th. Everything is hard set in the standings. The only real changes that can happen in the North American standings will be in our next game, which will be SSG versus Reciprocity. And both of their seasons are also in the books. It's all bragging rights from here on out. On Villa, interesting decision as well from Dark Zero to not clear from the Master side. That's something we see almost every single time someone tries to attack onto Aviator Games Room is, hey, we got to clear the far side of the map. But, okay, Hot and Cold's going to start things off, rejecting the spawn peak from Hyper. He's tried it back-to-back rounds, didn't find any success in the first round, but this time he'll find failure. His rotting corpse in that rest outside of that bathroom window.
And that's a pretty big operator to take down, too. Not just because you got the bullet hose in your hands with the Halda, but also the fact that the information that will be on the Evil Eye cams will be more limited, and with the changes, also much easier to counter them now. Keep in mind that an EMP from BC's Thatcher will open them up, allowing those Evil Eye cams to be shot out a lot easier than they used to be. Those are just part of the changes we saw in the most recent content patch that was released.
I wonder if somebody asked for a spawn peek and Hyper said, who do you want me to grab?
Yeah.
You remember that Twitter clip? It was a good time.
So, we usually see Mint on Blitz, but this time around it's going to be on Montagne instead. It's going to provide a completely different means of getting into the site. And obviously you don't play Blitz the same way that you play Montagne. Blitz isn't banned, so Mint could run with him if he wants to, but I imagine that he's anticipating there will be greater counters to Blitz, and he's not going to be anywhere near as aggressive a role as he could be under Blitz. Look at this. Just plant in the doorway. Nobody from Rise could stop this. Hot and Cold is going to get a free plant, and Dark Zero have committed next to nothing to just be able to walk out with the successful plant. The only person who's dead is Hyper, who died spawn peeking, and everybody else is still completely alive. Crazy started to counter defuse as Mint is there to just watch. Hot and Cold takes down his second. Mint grabs one, Nyx grabs another. Where's Vandal? He'll tussle with Hot and Cold. He'll end him. Nyx pops in. Oh, a beautiful shot from Vandal, waiting for the shield to drop. And Mint will still win that fight anyway. Dark Zero will answer back on a pretty cheeky push on in. And just go for a defuse behind the Montagne, knowing that there's no counter utility to bat them away. It was a pretty easy but impressive round from Dark Zero.
Question the Nomad ban? Not really questioning the Pulse ban on that one. Kind of obvious what the strategy was from there on out. And hey, it works out for them. And Rise Nation, seemingly intimidated off of going back to Statuary and Trophy, they'll head to Dining Room and Kitchen after one unsuccessful attempt. Mint on the Dokkaebi. Now, he's been on a revolving door of operators already through 3 rounds. And he's going to 6-pick back to the Montagne. So we're getting a little bit of stability here. England, though, going to be taking the Caveira, not even 6-picking it. Just saying, yeah, I'm bringing it. You better beware. There's no Jackal. Even if there was, the Silent Step could still evade the Jackal pings as they came out periodically, but it's going to be an issue here for locking him down. They removed the Dokkaebi as well, which would have been useful in the roam clear to try and find a Cav. They swap it out to the Montagne, which could be useful, but a little less useful as far as identifying a specific location for England. Don't want to necessarily have Mint just tramp around the map, not really having an aim, and suddenly run into England 1v1. It's probably not the best scenario you want to be in.
They might have thought he 6-picked off of it as well. That was the same thing I said with Young on Finka in the previous match, was that, you know, sometimes you pick an operator that kind of confounds you, but it's almost purposely done because they're like, oh, Caveira, haha, we know he's going to move to something else. And then you get into the mental gymnastics of like, well, is there a Caveira? Did he swap off? Oh, there's no Cav. Surely he's not playing Caveira. I'm getting interrogated, which we don't often see at this level, though you've had the opportunity to see some yourself. Be a beauty and a sight to behold. But in all reality, if you look at Dark Zero, they didn't really do much, roam clearing at all. No. They just kind of executed as they could. And it's funny because a Caveira really wouldn't have helped you in those circumstances at all. It wouldn't have made the difference between Ryze, An Echo would have possibly, your Maestro maybe being alive could have, depending on what you were looking at. But you need some kind of, counter plant utility, smokes, C4, etc. Cav doesn't bring any of that. So Ryze Nation are just hoping that they can catch somebody from Dark Zero, entering all on their lonesome. It looks right now that it might be BC, who's opened up a very small hole above. He's got Vandal peeking a beautiful shot. Vandal's hitting his shots with that SMG-11. He did so last round quite well, and he'll do so continuously through round 3. A minute's been expended. It's going to be a different entry for Dark Zero. A little bit more patience. It looks to be, from their lineup, that they're probably anticipating the same kind of play on attack.
So, transitioning from 0 roam clear to entire roam clear for Dark Zero in this round. I like the alteration, but they lose a member in the process. BC, looking down through Vandal's kill hole, will be laid to rest for the rest of the round. You've got this breach hole punched open by Hot and Cold, who's now rappelling upside down, staring down the breach hole, waiting for any of these defenders to rotate through. The hole has purview in behind the kitchen island, but now Jarvis is taking damage from the floorboards as well. Hot and Cold on his upside down rappel escapades will collect a kill on Crazy. You've also got a smiley face, but here comes the interrogation. England able to force out all of the intel out, and he's got another one down. Going for a second, but Vandal will clean it up through the floor. Hot and Cold out on rappel and leaving Mint alone on the shield on the opposite side of the map. England could go for the run out here, but he'll think better of it as Hot and Cold now in a brazen engagement up against Hyper, who appears to be prone, trying to peek with the Alda through those breach holes.
You always get all the fun, Rob.
I try.
There you go.
Jesus.
Well, England's going to drop anyway, but he's going to get splattered by Hot and Cold. Not much left of him to work with. Vandal's low on HP, but other than that, you've got good positioning for Ryze Nation for the time being. You've still got an opportunity for these toxic canisters to do great work. Mint's not going to be able to do much. Another kill for Vandal, and Hyper will shut down Hot and Cold, giving Ryze Nation their second round in a row. Really crack things open with that interrogation, and even though it's only 10 seconds, it gives the defenders every bit of information as to where you are. Now, it's very likely that you're going to move, because you're not going to try and attack from the same angles when your wonderful operator icon is displayed above your head. Doesn't really matter. Beautiful opportunity to see what Caveira can accomplish with Nyx solo entering, as you know that he likes to do. He drones himself in quite often. If he can go undetected as Caveira, you can possibly prey upon anybody. England's, though, going to go back on the Jaeger as we go back to Aviator as well. It didn't turn out so well for Dark Zero there. As apologies, not Ryze Nation's second round this matchup. I misspoke. But Aviator didn't go so well for Dark Zero. The first time, Ryze walked away with it. A lot of it was aided by the fact that Hyper didn't spawn peak at the start. And then you didn't have a pretty good strategy from Dark Zero to just walk right in and get the plant off with Hot and Cold behind the Monty. But when that kind of strategy worked, that was on Trophy Statuary in round number 2 by Dark Zero, it was more so that just Ryze didn't have anything to deal with it. That's really it.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that Dark Zero played it extremely well. Dark Zero obviously at some point, like we counter-stratted them, saw that they weren't the strongest there in terms of what they can bring for plant utility, and they pushed them, knowing that.
Yeah, it wasn't really Dark Zero, coming out with this crazy brand new strategy that no one's ever seen. It's plant the doorway behind the shield. It's just that Ryze weren't ready and waiting for that one.
Keep in mind, we just saw Ryze play here on Villa in Playday number 12, so they couldn't have played it on the last Playday because they were off, well, the map was off, rather. So they can go back to it on Playday 14, and they will. And remember, that was the EXG Ryze Nation matchup where EXG won 5 in a row, and then Ryze won 6 in a row.
Oh, God, yeah.
That was a very intriguing match to watch, and Ryze are very good on defense. So if Dark Zero can keep it close on Dark Zero's attacks, then you'll see the ineffectiveness from Ryze Nation that was pointed on, or it was actually mentioned by England in regards to whether they're more comfortable on attack or defense, possibly coming out. This is your opportunity as Dark Zero. Run up the score on attack if you can, which on Villa, not so easy to do.
Not the simplest of tasks. So you still got England roaming, but like you said, It's on the Jaeger instead of the Cav, and to me that's just decisively less interesting. You get the shield pressed right up against the door frame now, which is Mint, and he'll take half his HP, surrendered now. Is that only by an impact grenade? It's a lot of damage to be done to a shield with one impact grenade, so that must have landed perfectly behind him. Wow, okay. Well, Mint down to just narrowly above 50 HP. You got flashbangs going all the way down to 90, but a Toxic Babe now being launched up by Vandal, and Mint choking on it. He's gonna have to back off. He's in danger territory now as you see his health bar flashing red. He's got just over 20 HP remaining, and you have some successful breach rolls made by Hot and Cold now onto this bar wall from Study. You got a double peek about to come out, crouch height, and Acid could collect an easy 2-piece here. That doesn't exactly work, Acid, but Valiant is tense, and it, at the end of the day, doesn't do a lot to his ACOG either. You got these prone holes made here at the bottom of the bar wall that Vandal's having to contend with, and man, if he could spot the foot of Mint for one moment, that could be lethal.
And it looks like he did, though Nyx will take out England. Once again, go back to this 90 hallway. It'll be the ACOGs battling against each other, and Acid will show Nyx a seat for the rest of the round. There's Acid trying to get that kill for quite a while, and he'll finally have his hard work and patience rewarded. He's going to use the pillar for cover as he's got the Zofia dumping all the utility in. Jarvis had won this fight previously when these two players tussled with one another. But Acid's going to be very important here now because the smoke will choke off any opportunity for the attackers to push on down, putting Vandal in the doorway. But Acid knows that if he peeks, he's going to be right in the crosshairs of Jarvis. So you have to be really particular about the way that you play this. It doesn't look like Jarvis has any utility left to deal with, though. So Acid and Jarvis will just be in a straight-up gunfight. See some of the wall of the smoke also disappear. As that push down Classical Hall, it's going to get really tough here for the attackers. Montaigne will take point with Vandal still there. Oh, he'll grab Hot and Cold. The shield comes down, unable to outduel the Montaigne, but Crazy will take Mint down. Acid beats Jarvis on Repel, and it's all up to BC in a 1v4, but he won't be very long for this Earth. Crazy will pop out and take him down, and there you have it. Rise Nation now with 3 rounds through the 4 rounds that we've seen, looking very good on defense, and despite that one hiccup in round number 2, have been in firm control of the pacing of most of the defenses.
So, that round there for Rise Nation, a clinic. That round there for Dark Zero, still an example of why pushing the far side towards Master is pretty crucial. You're unable to clear out Acid from 90, even with Jarvis repelled out on the 90 window. It's not enough. Even dumping everything in the lifeline at him still wasn't enough to dissuade him from his position, to force him out into a crossfire or another person waiting. You got a lot of members stacking and repeaking the same angle over and over again into their eventual demise. So for Dark Zero there on the attacks, again, probably not trying to show everything they've got worked out on Villa. They are a very strategic team. They're a very coordinated team. They are a team that puts a lot of effort in pre-game. This is not the full showing for Dark Zero. So for any Dark Zero fans out there concerned, don't fret. First of all, it's attacking on Villa. It's not the easiest tasks in the world. And number 2, this isn't Dark Zero at 100%. I think this is Rise at like 100% fun level, though. They're having fun. It really does look like they're just trying to mess around and take everything they got, and don't take it for granted. Just take everything they got at their disposal and throw it at the wall and see what sticks, because you know, we got a Frost coming out from Crazy. Frost Super 90. Yeah, he's definitely going to be staying in his walk-in closet.
This isn't that weird, though, to see a Frost here on the, the bedroom of Trophy Statuary, because it functions very similarly to when you defend security or monitors in Border. And just in the sense where it's like, you know that you're going to have to vault over one of those windows. There's no door for you to walk in on. There's the 2 windows inside a bedroom, and then you've got the window inside a closet. You've got the, additionally, you've got the rappel into the bathroom. But all of those leave you very vulnerable to a Frost mat. So even if you do go in and you get the Frost mat underneath you, well, you've got a Super 90 Frost waiting to, destroy you on the other side of it, which is what we've seen repeatedly. A lot of times it's the 9mm, though, that you'll see in his hands, but I suppose in this instance, because it is so close, it's smart to just take those engagements at such a short range. Actually looked like Jarvis was going to lose that fight to Vandal, which is very strange when you've got Zofia's weapon versus the SMG-11. BC first to fall, and Rise will once again find themselves with the very first kill of the round.
That's BC without a kill through 4, and now Nyx coming into hot contest against England, but he can't land the lethal blow, and England with 2! A beautiful Nitro Cell onto Mint, and Nyx will fall at the hands of the MPX. The reactionary response there from England, not taking a single hit point of damage. Gotta hit your shots, Nyx, and that's Dark Zero at a 2v5. Dark Zero in dire straits. Jarvis on 10 HP after that engagement against Vandal. Hot and cold, still outside with Diffuser as the Hibana rotating in through Study now. He's going to come to blows with England inside of Aviator. Crouch walking out the door. The lifelines will go off and revealing the position, but now England's stunned out on the other side of the wall. Jarvis will collect the kill from the connector window. Now you've got Hot and Cold burying, and he's the last member still upright for Dark Zero. Jarvis has been down. He's fallen off the roof to safety to try and pick himself back up, as that withstand property from Zofia will keep him in the fight. Vaulting out now is Hot and Cold.
Over a Frostmat? Was that a Frostmat on the ground that he just vaulted over? Did you see that?
I did not see that, but...
Are my eyes deceiving me? Either I'm crazy or it looked like he vaulted over a Frostmat.
We'll have to see. He hasn't gone back in that window, and Hot and Cold will take down Crazy. There's 39 seconds left. This could be a great comeback here for Dark Zero.
It's possible with Jarvis up now. The only problem is that one tick from that toxic canister will kill Jarvis. The withstand only brings you back to 5 HP, even one pellet of the shotgun as well. But oh, you don't need much HP to do that. Just absolutely tears Hyper to pieces through the wall. And this comeback potential is very real. Acid an opportunity to possibly take out the Hibana. They'll line up, but Dark Zero have swung it back and forth. Vandal, who's been having a banger of a game, disoriented, will have to pop on out. He's got covering fire, not that much! Double from Vandal, Rise, a huge round! It will go either way, but Rise Nation will take it off of a miracle run from Dark Zero to make it that close, yet still so far. The final defense for Rise Nation, and Dark Zero looked like they were down and out in that round. A minute on in, they brought it back real close.
They made that one hell of a contest on a round. That was almost highlight. That was highlight reel worthy. A lot of those plays in that round were highlight reel worthy. Beautiful round there from Dark Zero to come back from the depths. Great lockout from Vandal. Like you said, Vandal's on one tonight. Vandal is having fun. Vandal is murdering everyone tonight. It's incredible. This isn't something we see. He's obviously a very good support player. He's been a very talented support player in the clutch for a long time, but we never see Vandal get aggressive. That first engagement against Jarvis to drop him to, what, 10 HP? And then SMG-11 against an M762 at range. Dude, we never see this from Vandal, and he's 8 kills right now. He's top fragging, doubling up the next closest, which is England.
And you had Pojo doing it in match 1.
Yeah.
And you have Vandal doing it in match 2. You know, it's not unheard of that the support players on SSG and Rec, which will likely be Skies or Bosco, depending on which team you look at, could possibly lead the standings there as well. Today is the day of the support play, it would seem.
True.
A large part of Vandal's success last season also came with Ying. If you remember, strategically teams started banning Ying against the core of this Rise Nation roster because Vandal, and the way that he played around it, it allowed both Vertical and Hyper to really thrive under that, and Vandal as well to do so. I think Vandal showed a little bit less prowess on defense, and after teams started banning Ying, statistically Vandal did fall off in comparison to where he was before that. It's been overshadowed a lot by Vertical as well as Hyper, and now with the addition of both Acid and Crazy, particularly Crazy is fulfilling Vertical's roles decently well for what Rise needed, and having better synergy, I think, with Hyper than before. Don't forget, chat, smiles are free, and you always have an opportunity to smile.
Any smilers in chat? I love that. It's sportsmanship. It's gamesmanship between the two. They're having fun. This is what I mean, man. What other game, when Rise Nation were 0-6 to start the season, did we see them drawing smiley faces on the wall?
I mean, the other thing, too, with Rise Nation is that even in defeat or in draws, most of that team is still pretty affable. They're still in good spirits. Exactly. And I agree with you when you said, you know, they're having fun. I think that's the way it is. You know, they're going to have fun whether they're winning or losing. Their fate was out of their hands coming into today. It really rested upon that EG-EXG matchup. You have to essentially roll with the punches here. And the punch has landed you in 7th place. You had, you know, 13 games previously, 12 technically, since there's only 13 matches actually played in this region due to Orglis being removed. to possibly find yourself not in that last position. Vandal's going to pick up yet another kill. He's going to down Mint on the very first interaction. Vandal finished off 2 for Nyx. He's on the R4C. You see that the rest of Rise Nation will be recalled to site. 3 for Nyx! Whether it's the G36C or the R4C, it doesn't really matter. He's got 3 kills so far, and he'll be looking for England. That'll be all she wrote, though, as it's a double for Rise. They'll pick up 2 and equalize this in a 2v2. 1 minute to go. There's England able to grab Jarvis, looking the wrong way. Shut down by BC, putting us into a 1v1 with Crazy and BC staring off against one another. The gun unequivocally in the hands, the better gun unequivocally in the hands of BC. The C4 will get tossed out. It'll miss just a little bit short. BC taking no damage in that interaction at all. Go for a defuse yet again. Crazy will bait him off of it. Just waiting, but there goes BC. 40 seconds left. Crazy on in, once again, forcing BC right off. It's going to be a game of chicken. Who blinks first? But BC looks like he'll stick it for the most part. Seeing the smiley face, Crazy. Will he be the one smiling? No, it'll be BC. As Dark Zero will finally pick up a second round. It took them quite a while, and they'll emerge from the first half down, with Rise Nation having a lead 4-2.
Ah, down to the 1v1. Nyx was on one that round, that's for sure. Honestly, that entry just not guarded by Rise Nation, and unfortunately for them, that allows Nyx to walk through and start cutting through them like a hot knife through butter. But we hit the midway point of the entire evening, as well as this game. There's 3 matches. We're halfway through game number 2. That's math. It's a 4-2 lead right now in the favor of Rise Nation. So that sends Dark Zero to the defense with only picking up 2 rounds on the attacking side. For Rise here, a team that struggled on the attack, like you said, up against EXG. This could be a game heading the distance as well, similar to our first game, which ended in a 7-5 victory for Evil Genius. No, EXG over Evil Geniuses.
I'm telling you, the EXG, EG...
Yeah, it screws you up.
It's tough.
It's tough.
So, you emerge from the first half 9-3-2 for Vandal, really leading the way and honestly winning 2 rounds at least of those 6, almost on his own.
Yeah.
Excellent play. Unfortunate that he wasn't able to do much against the Hibana plant behind the Montaigne in round number 2. That's where his smoke, that's a bit of your wheelhouse there. Throw the toxic canisters down, stop the plant, but couldn't really do much. This is the same round that Crazy spawn peeked and died. Or Hyper spawn peeked and died, rather. So, I mean, it's not like the Maestro would have been that big of a difference, but it might have changed the way that Vandal had to play as well. Maybe he was covering the spot where Maestro was playing. I'm not entirely certain how Rise is their setup.
Well, for this one here, is going to be Dark Zero setting up on the defense. They're going to head to Aviator and Games Room to start things off. You got a Glaz and a Twitch coming out from Crazy and Hyper, as well as Acid on a Jackal. So lots of heavy damage potential, honestly, with a lot of these weapons. You got the OTS 3 on Glaz, you got the F2 on Hyper. It's going to be a fun day. A lot of high rate of fire weapons other than the Glaz rifle, but obviously one shot will put you near death anyway. England's going to rappel into this kitchen connector right now. Looks like he's going to attempt to flush out Nyx, who was down by Memorial, but will escape and scurry on back up the east stairs all the way to the top floor, right outside of the objective. It's not, I don't think it's Nyx being Jackal tracked currently. I think it's Hot and Cold, possibly. Oh no, it's Jarvis.
England on Ash is not exactly something you see every day.
No.
But that's okay. We've seen some interesting changes to teams' roles over, the last 2 hours or so, and I would imagine that we will likely see that continue. I don't suspect anything will change in the SSG rec match.
No.
So you put Crazy on the Glaz, you have him maybe do a different split push than where one of your main entries are going to be. That's an easy down and then secure for Hyper, and Rise Nation will open things up. They have been very good at getting the opening frag in almost every single round. And their chances obviously bolstered when you're able to take one of your opponents down early, especially on a map like this, where the defense tends to have an inherent advantage on Villa. You've also taken down the Maestro, so it's not just that you've been able to secure a very important player in Hot and Cold, but you've dislodged the person playing in 90, you've made those Evil Eye cams far more vulnerable, the Twitch drone for Hyper is going to do great effect, but any advantage you had just essentially evaporated, with Crazy losing that fight to Nyx. Also take down one of the 2 sets of smokes that you have in Rise's hands, leaving a lot more pressure on Acid to flush out those ADSs, or his team to flush out those ADSs. so that you can actually get the smokes down amidst the cover of said smoke. BC will win the fight against Hyper, and now Dark Zero will take an advantage in numbers.
BC walks away from the fight at 1 HP in England, and now Acid are separated from one another. Jarvis on the peek out. He'll land 2. Acid and England both go down, leaving Vandal last alive. A 1v4 now as he peeks down the hallway with diffuser control surrendered just at the envoy of 90. He's got to push his way up this tumultuous hallway, honestly. And you've got peek holes now opened up on the floor of the wall from Study in behind bar. You got Toxic Babes ringing out now, and there's not a lot to be done. As flashbangs come soaring out in pure desperation, these prone holes aren't going to offer much. You still don't have diffuser. Everyone from Dark Zero will stand pat and await for an opening. And it'll be Jarvis throwing out an impact grenade. It'll still land and do some damage, but it'll take a headshot for his troubles. 2 seconds left. The time will expire. Vandal will not collect the round, and neither will Rise Nation. It's Dark Zero now, storming back, taking a round back in their favor. It's 2 consecutive for them as well.
Defense got to win on Villa. Defense will win at least through the first round, and on the site where you expect a lot of defenders to win, which is that Aviator Games room, and then you go to Trophy Statuary and you hope for the best and see how the rotation on Villa works. There isn't really a weird bomb site on Villa in comparison to other maps. You still have the, the kitchen or the living room library down below. Kitchen will usually be seen as the second most picked or the second or third most picked site, depending on what team you are. But that living room library, which has been run from Rise a couple times, in this matchup, no. But in previous matchups, yes. It's just usually the weakest site. It's the least practiced here. So I don't imagine that we'll see that site come out from Dark Zero. If they do prove to be successful on Trophy Statuary, it's likely going to Kitchen. But I mean, speculation only gets you so far. Also worth noting that Vandal saving the KD. Give yourself some nice stats. There you go. 10-3 and 2. Congratulations. First person to break double digits. Hojo playing almost identical roles in the EXG-EG matchup, doing the same thing. So, bit of a mirror match between these teams.
Yeah,
also,
honestly, the comeback potential as well.
Also, very similar in terms of scoreline.
Yeah.
EXG on attack, 1 round 6, and then won their first defense on round 7. Dark Zero's doing the same thing. 1 round 6 on attack, and then round 7 on defense. Look at that.
I think it's gone almost the exact same.
There's 1 round difference, that's it.
1 round difference, yeah. That's wild. But nonetheless, we enter into round number 8, and now Crazy has opted to forego the glass, not hitting that headshot onto Nyx. He was able to hit the body shot on the trade, but Nyx hit the headshot, and one-shot headshot rules this game still. So he'll swap over to the fully automatic AK, the discount AK on Zofia, and they'll look to go for a far side clear, something that Dark Zero never implemented once. Crazy still out on the balcony. He's got pressure inside of Aviator right now from 1 defender. And looks to be Nyx right now. He's chilling inside of Aviator, and he's got 2 now. It's Nyx and Hot and Cold. ADS is preset in behind the Aviator wall, and for this Rise Nation push, they're already low on time. They've utilized a minute just kind of staring around, but England, the dark horse, already at the bottom of the astronomy stairs, looking to be the silent flanking attacker. I don't think anyone on Dark Zero is well aware of England's positioning right now.
He's just creeping on up. Nobody might hear him. If there's barbed wire on the stairs, his position will be given away, but that's about it. I like the hold on Study side, or on the Aviator side rather, looking towards the Study that we see from Dark Zero. The only downside to that is that if you lose it and you lose both your bodies, well, it's quite an investment. Very similar to what we've seen from teams who defend cash aggressively when it's a gym bedroom defense on Clubhouse. But England's very quiet ascent up those stairs will be slowed down, at least given away by the fact there's a goo mine that will alert the defenders to his position. Backs down for the time being, and a very common played spot on Astronomy behind the desk will be given away by a breaching round. Jarvis peeks and takes down Crazy. Jarvis having a pretty good game himself, especially on Legion through the last 2 rounds. He was pivotal in the clutch for Dark Zero, peeking out of the door into 90, and now he's going to be pivotal above as well. Very similar spot, and look at that, he's hitting his shots. He'll take Hyper down too, so 2 big kills for Jarvis. Dark Zero opening things up well, and all that it's cost you is a little bit of utility and about 50 HP from Jarvis.
It's a 2-man deficit right now for Rise Nation. He's still got these punch holes in the base of the walls, but You still have to push your way across to the actual objective. Nyx will drop and take down the silent flank of England. So there goes your Ashe. It's now down to Vandal and Acid. Last two remaining in a 2v5 to work their way out of. You still got Nyx playing the top of East Stairs, and Jarvis cutting off any rotations from 90. So for Dark Zero here, it's an easy lockout. The ADSs will take out the smoke grenades. Okay, that is very unfortunate. Flashbang will now rain down. Hot and Cold will hold off the angle on a Pixel. Still got the Echo drones rotating as well, although Vandal will win out his fight against Hot and Cold, so not to be deterred just yet until Nyx will burst right through the breach and take him down. Acid an immediate trade, but inside of the connector, Acid will not fall to Jarvis as expected, but can't land the shots while disoriented by the Yokai. Mint will finally lock that one down. It was toiling down to Anarchy in the dying moments, but Dark Zero able to collect. And that's a drawn scoreline now at 4-4, so it looks like we will be going the distance on Villa.
Yep.
Should this continue the same rotation we saw in the first half?
I've been really impressed with the individual plays of a number of different people in this game.
Very.
And the thing is that not that their strats have been bad, very similar to the EXG-EG game, but it's just there's obviously a fluidity to this game that doesn't necessarily involve the same level of stratting to get you to, from point A to point B.
Yeah. It's different.
It's been great individual performances. I don't know how much information Jarvis was fed in rounds, 7 and 8, but he read all of the plays of Rise extremely well. 4 incredibly important kills for his team. Has vaulted him all the way up to the top of the scoreboard. And he's doing this on operators, Zofia on attack, now Legion on defense, where you're not necessarily on a support role. That can be more of a second entry role. It definitely seems like BC has taken a step back from what we've seen before in regards to where he is on his second entry. He's been using Jarvis in more of an aggressive role, but there's flexibility on Dark Zero's side. It might just be map preference as well. Who knows? But my suspicion was correct. We'll go down to the kitchen for round number 9.
Well, we saw the hated stepchild of a site that is Penthouse Theater now. I think you referred to it differently, but I'm not going to make fun of people's hair color while not having that hair color.
Well, it's redheaded stepchild, and as a redhead, I got a pass. I can say that.
Exactly. I don't have that pass.
Not a stepchild, though, so I mean, I feel insensitive, referring to that derisively. But I'm a ginger.
Okay, so we're mean no matter what we say.
That's true.
There you go. We nailed it. Anyway, Penthouse Theater was a site that is largely abandoned by many people these days, and it was still brought out in Coastline. I'm waiting to see a living room and library defense come out at some point. And that's honestly not even as abnormal as a Penthouse Theater defense these days, which is, again, weird to say. But it looks like Rise have ulterior intentions here on their attacking side. They're going to bust right into Memorial as the smoke comes out. Counteractive smoke there from Mint and the Toxic Babe. It's going to be Mint now inside of the closet trying to launch out everything he's got. Jarvis taking a lot of damage, but will win out the engagement against Acid. Now a 4v5 as they continue to press the Memorial, but they're stalling out and running into a dead wall. You've got smoke still clouding the visibility for any of the defenders to peek inside of a Memorial, and now you got drones heading out to the hallway for Rise. They need to find a new game plan here, as Dark Zero have clamped down on this initial attempt. They're not giving any holes.
Wondering how long until they'll be able to finally circle on in as they need to. If you remember when it was BC on attack, essentially just baiting out Rise Nation while the rest of his team's fighting came all off-site and narrowed it down to one lone defender on site for Rise Nation. It doesn't look like Dark Zero is going to give Rise the same amount of opportunities. As you can see, Dark Zero is playing a lot more tight inside of the site. But Mint's in trouble because he might get pinched from 2 angles, one of which happens to be a glass. He's just going to look for that sliver of yellow. So you hear the telltale sign of the Glass rifle firing off. A frag grenade will go in. Mint's going to have to move at some point. This is a lot of utility that's being expended. Oh, pop out shotgun. Can it connect at all? No, it won't do enough damage. There's Jarvis with 2 more kills, and Hot and Cold will add to it. So Hyper will need to try to keep his team in this fight, but very minimal HP left. This is going to be a daunting task. There's still a dock up on Dark Zero's side as well. So as low as Jarvis is, it's an opportunity that Hot and Cold could possibly get Jarvis back to full HP. There's going to be goo mines in the way, and Hyper might actually be low enough where a single goo mine is his undoing. And that's exactly it. Another massive round from Jarvis, which isn't something that we've said a lot for Dark Zero, but in this case is ringing true. And with it, His team's fortunes have soared. A big comeback so far over Rise Nation. 1 point, Dark Zero trailed 4-1. Since then, four unanswered rounds from DZ have put them within striking distance of not just match point, but also a victory.
Not unlike our first game between EXG and Evil Geniuses, in which it was a 4-1 lead for EG, and then a 5-4 lead for EXG, and then back and forth. And then EXG came away with the win, 7-5. So will we see the same thing here for Rise Nation? Will they be able to bounce back in this and stop the bleeding? Or is the defensive side of Villa too much to contend with in the back-to-back play times that you've played on Villa, but not in back-to-back weeks because of the rotation? Consecutive games on Villa. Can you get attacking rounds? That is the question. That is the question here for Rise Nation. Vandal still leading the way, though. 11 kills. Picks up another one in that round. Like you said, you know, we've got some people in, like Jarvis right now, in the Legion Zofia role, who's definitely not a support role, but definitely not just a pure entry role and fragging role. It's kind of like this Flex, right? And he's still balling out. He's having some fun. Vandal, though, in your hard set support roles, your Hibana and your Smoke, having just a blast of a time. Just having the best time he could ever have.
But once again, not just showing why Villa is more favored for the defenders, but additionally that he does much better on defense, which is pretty much vintage Vandal. It appears that we're off to the races here, as all of Rise Nation will spawn on the same side, and they're just going to go for broke. They could possibly be in the building quite fast, but who knows exactly what they're going to take if they just do the 5-man rush strat. It doesn't really happen on Villa the same way it does on other sites, but we've seen crazier things today. Nyx appears to be the only defender that is within striking distance of Rise. He's playing over on Astronomy. He's going to be supported by a Yokai drone, as it's very kind of Hot and Cold to be able to give him some information inside a bathroom. The drone might have actually just gone by Nyx completely, but no, he gets spotted. Cannot get out of there alive. He'll be buried from Hyper. He doesn't make it down those Astronomy stairs. And now Rise Nation have full control over the northern side and the eastern side of that second floor. So you've got Trophy and Statuary locked down. Is there going to be somebody playing over in 90? That'll be the next question that Rise Nation will have to grapple with. There's some mute jammers that might slow down their advance, but for the time being, 90 is actually vacant. It's a little odd to see. I think Dark Zero understood the way that Rise would be coming from, and very rightly have moved more of their bodies over towards the study and surrounding area. And because of this, they don't need to aggressively guard 90 the same way. There's still a Yokai drone there. You don't need to use the blast at all. You just need to simply watch and keep a clever eye and good guard over whoever's playing in that area. It was Vandal that was there. He holds the diffuser, but that information might not be known to Dark Zero. It's very obvious that it's going to be a vault take in some capacity, at least from the X-Kairos going on, but a mute jammer will be the foil for Vandal. At least that is until the EMP gets tossed down. And now, there you go. That should be an easier way in for Rise.
And we were worried about impact tricks, but nobody preset, no holes pre-made. So Hot and Cold, going to be dancing with Peril here. Prone inside of the vault. Another set of X-Kairos will be displaced onto the walls and start detonating. No possibility to shoot them as you have better alignment now on the Hibana. Oh, but it makes a thin strip in between. The paranoia of being able to shoot the bottoms of those pellets is going to actually botch this entirely. I'm sure you can crouch in between that nice little gap in the middle, so it is salvaged here, but all 3 sets from Vandal have to be utilized.
Hot and Cold could have shot that X-Kairos, but decided not to because he's going to try to challenge the angle instead. If he hasn't been spotted, this is, for Rise, essentially a massive issue they're going to run into head first.
So yeah, we've got control over study, but time ticking away in a 4v5 here. You still got 5 members of Rise Nation ready to collapse down upon the objective. You've got 2 coming up the south stairs, and laying in wait is Jarvis, evading the flashbangs beautifully. Third one will, though, land on his position. It still won't blind him out, and he'll land it out onto Crazy. You've got Hot and Cold inside of the vault, hitting his shot onto Acid as well. Hyper on a trade in England on a reverse now. Hot and Cold busting out of the vault. Will take 1, take 2, and now it's England last alive, pushing through study. There's nothing left there. Dark Zero will take the round on defense on time, and not enough of it left in the bank for Rise Nation. That's a match point now.
Once again, showing how strong the defense is on Villa. Only 2 rounds won on attack, both from Dark Zero. That's it. Everything else has been all defense all day. That EXG Rise matchup, 1 attacking round victory. It went in favor of Rise. It ended up being the difference maker. That's it. It just goes to show you that not only are we still in a period of time where the defense can rack up a lot of round victories, but that also Villa hasn't exactly been figured out by the attackers yet.
So, for Rise Nation, I guess it continues the path that most of the season has gone on for you, and that's kind of sad in its own right. But hey, we knew going into this game what the outcome was going to be. Whether it was a win or a loss for Rise Nation, you're finishing in 7th. It's kind of just over at this point. But hey, you still have bragging rights on the line. Still bring this back into a draw. For Dark Zero, try and close it out with style. Get some style points, get some extra points, draw Evil Geniuses in points on the season, because now you can do that. And then you can say, hey, we only lost out on first and NA because of tiebreak. You know, there's small things here, but the small victories aren't going to be enough for Rise here to propel them out of a 7th spot. So Vandal has now been overtaken, at least in scoreboard points, by England, but nonetheless, it's still Vandal leading the way in terms of kills. A statuary and trophy defense looking to close this thing out for Dark Zero right now. And the last time around, we saw a statue and trophy defense. If not mistaken, it was a complete lockout on the far side of the map from Dark Zero on just the backs of Jarvis and Nyx, really. On the opposite side of the map, over by Aviator and Hot and Cold, sorry, on the Jaeger as well.
It makes a lot of sense that the Legion is the operator who's really tearing it up in the second half here on defense. And a big part of that is just because, well, the longer he lives, the better his gadget gets. The more areas he can cover, the more damage he can possibly inflict, the more of work that you need to do as an attacker to spot every single goo mine. That will be incredibly painful in the dying seconds of a round. If Jarvis can stay alive till the end of a round, dealing damage and inflicting pain in the process, then that bodes really well for Dark Zero, and that's exactly been the case so far. Jarvis might be able to make it out of dodge, at least for the time being, but his footprints will still give him away, as Hyper will have him under watch. This is once again a lot of time that is being used on Rise Nation just to be able to break open the reinforcements that have been made over inside of games, and Aviator, on those study walls. But some drone work would have been able to let you know that there's nobody there. So you've just used flashbangs, you've just used Xkairos to essentially flush out Dark Zero, who themselves fell off much earlier on before you even started to drone.
So much better progression here from Rise Nation, being able to flush out this defense on the far side from Dark Zero. For Dark Zero, though, the peel back has also included a verticality aspect to it. So you've got downstairs. Oh, that's ripping down a barricade to go back up the stairs. I thought Mint was about to go running on an escapade outside. That would have gone quite terribly, but nonetheless, he'll be able to escape to safety back up the astronomy stairs. So he has to utilize a rotation through the basement. That's where another member of Dark Zero was stationed as well, downstairs in the wine cellar. For Rise Nation, you did a good job of clearing out the far side, but time is once again your enemy, as Hyper will be holding off flanks. And here comes Jarvis up these stairs. They're just missing each other, but no, Jarvis will turn his back towards Hyper, and he'll collect the easiest kill of his life. So Jarvis will be felled, and that's one of your members that was downstairs. Still got Nyx, sorry, at the bottom of the astronomy stairs. Drones will descend in from Rise Nation. They won't really identify a whole lot. The collapse is coming from multiple angles here from Rise. They're going to have to isolate a plant spot.
So I wonder if there's going to be suitable coverage here for Dark Zero, though, as they're going to watch through multiple doorways. Mint will take down England, trade it off as Acid manages to go for the plant after getting the kill that he needed. Mint unable to outduel Crazy, but BC slaps Crazy on down. Diffuser goes down successfully. Nobody the wiser to know that Rise was going for the plant. Either that or DZ just exercising extreme caution. You got Nyx and BC back-to-back. Nyx with a great read, takes out the drone, realizes he's going to be pushed. Good game sense to shut down Vandal. This is winnable, but the timer will be the main enemy. See, all of the bodies of Rise Nation have fallen far enough back. Amidst the smoke, this could possibly be an opportunity for Nyx to get the kill. No, the C4 will miss, spraying through the wall. BC needs to look just a little bit lower. Down goes Nyx. BC grabs one. He's been so clutch before. He did it on attack, but on defense, he's running out of time, and all you need to do as Acid is just waste a lot of time. BC got it, but he's not going to be able to get there in time. That should be very easy for Rise Nation to hold on. An Pyrrhic victory for BC will give Rise Nation an opportunity to tie and at least stop Dark Zero from putting it away. We will need that 12th round, as you predicted, Rob, and we might have a draw with the Rise Nation and Dark Zero, or DZ might be able to continue up their trend and see that round as a blip for the attackers.
I mean, for Rise Nation there, like we said, much better progression on the far side. Time management, better. the collapse from multiple sides didn't really come to great effect because Mint was able to kind of spearhead that off from the bathroom and the master side push. It really just did come down to that onslaught of pressure coming through that connector between the two objectives, between Statuary Door by East Stairs and by Trophy Door. So valiant attempt, but it still works out in the end. They're still able to overwhelm that one portion of the objective that they desperately needed to get the plant down. Post-plant was played beautifully, honestly. That peel back there from, who was that on the Thatch last time? Was that Acid?
Acid was playing the Thatcher, yes.
Amen. Good time utilization, good time control, honestly, in a desperate measure, in a desperate scenario, to be able to back off like that and have the poise to not try and take the engagement. You know, game's on the line here, and you still have that kind of composure in the pressure moments. And I mean, it's another factor to, honestly, to add to the resume as to why Rise Nation decided to pick up Crazy and Acid out of everyone they could have picked up from Orlus.
And the diffuser was still in the doorway, so it was very unlikely that BC, as Maestro with that huge visual hitbox, would have been able to, you know, play behind cover at some point. And Acid wasn't far enough away that he wouldn't have been able to make up that gap in 7 seconds.
Nope.
By the time you hear the very first diffuse, there might be 5.5, 6 seconds left, depending on where you actually look at the timer, and then you react from that. But it was still a very winnable situation from Rise Nation, and would have really taken a really poorly timed plan from them to throw that round away.
Yeah, the retake there from Dark Zero, it was well coordinated. If it had been expedited a little bit, there could have been more of a chance for BC. But again, Rise Nation had the opportunity, like you said, to just keep peeling back. They were never within danger territory of being outside of 7 seconds from sprinting to the diffuser and stopping a disable. So it was all in the good books there for Rise Nation. So we head to the last round here, and England's going to rappel up onto this connector window just outside of the Aviator door. He's going to pop the window into the vault door, but he'll have a clash to contend with. Mint shoving a shield in his face. England going to throw out a drone in response to this, just trying to get the grasp of what the hell's going on in front of him. Vandal as well will be droning out the far side, and we've seen honestly a significant lack of master side pushes. It's been a lot of study pushes coming out from both of the attacking sides when attacking Aviator and Games Room.
You look at the lineup that's being brought from Rise Nation as well. They don't really have a lot to deal with the clash, if you really think about it. Zofia and Capitao tend to be two of the strongest counters. Nomad is as well, though Nomad is banned. Outside of maybe the Buck, or just simply rushing on in. As long as Mint doesn't get overwhelmed, it'll be really good for Dark Zero. But Nyx just kind of gives his life away a little haphazardly. I don't think he understood how close Crazy was. That's a mistake that could possibly cost Dark Zero later on.
Nice. Left soft wall open here from the rappel from 90 window as well, so then the Skeleton Key will be able to rip through that. You've got an entry in through Study, so Hot and Cold will shut that down momentarily as Acid will fall inside the objective. Thankfully wasn't carrying the diffuser, but you got a rotation now running into the headstrong approach here from Mint. He's going to very gallantly push himself into the door frame. He's got worries from the breach holes now, but a pre-fire coming out from Jarvis will down one onto England. That was the rappel in from the 90 window. Crazy on an immediate trade, though, into Jarvis will clear out 90. So now you've got Hot and Cold and Mint stuck inside a site, and you've got BC on a flank.
And Crazy is being watched quite heavily by Mint, who's now pushed on out and can give more information to Hot and Cold. All of this defense right now, though, is being used over on the Study side. Crazy picks up his third, finishes off Hot and Cold. Mint is still going to exist. It's going to fall back quite a bit and wait for BC to possibly do some work. BC has been out of action this entire round, and the clock only shows 20 seconds remaining. Mint is under siege, though, for the time being. The IQ is going to creep on in, and every single body from Rise that is trying to deal with Mint is just getting gunned down by DZ. Another body being spotted as BC is going to now creep on over through the astronomy wall. Mint is completely blind, could possibly get jumped on, expecting a push, but Diffuse will need to go down as the clock is not working in Rise's favor. Crazy vulnerable for 5 seconds. Will push on in. Oh no! Vandal downs BC. Mint will have to take it into his own hands! 2 huge kills! Even with the shield and the team on his back, it's Mint to save the day. Dark Zero with the full 3 points and a massive victory leading into Milan over Rise Nation.
Another instance of Rise Nation keeping a game close against some of the best competition in North America, but ultimately they fall just short. Rise Nation, as we've noted a few times now, will matter of factly, play the number 2 seed coming out of North American Challenger League. Regardless of what happens now, their season is done. They have made, obviously, big changes, dropping Beastly and Ghost and picking up Crazy and Acid from Orglis. They also picked up a brand new coach in Remorse, formerly of